Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here. Today I want to talk to you guys a little bit about why strength training is the foundation of all other training goals. In other words, I don't care whether you are training to be a better marathon runner in the gym. I don't care whether you're training to be larger and more aesthetic and have bigger arms. I don't care whether you're training to get better at football. I don't care if your goals are just to stave off osteoporosis and cancer and to just keep fighting death off as you get older. Strength training is the foundation of all of that. And let me break down why that is. Let's talk about even the gym bro who's struggling to put on size. Why do you think so many gym bros have to turn to anabolics so often? Why do you think drug use is so prevalent? That's because guys have easy access to it. It's not like this stuff is hard to find in the U.S., Canada, United Kingdom, any of these countries. This stuff is easy to get. All right, anyone who thinks that it's hard to get probably thinks that marijuana is hard to find also. That's not the real world. All right, they turn to it because they are oftentimes pursuing less effective training methods. And even worse, they've been told that strength training will give them T-Rex arms. And I'm not telling anybody not to do curls or tricep extensions if they want to do that to help get their arms bigger. It's resistance training. You know what? You get stronger on any resistance exercise. The muscles that are worked will grow. All right, they will grow. But we come back to basic strength training. You show me any example of a novice who's come into the gym, and I don't mean people's muscle dysmorphia. I don't mean their muscle dysmorphia. I mean someone who's come in and taken an arm measurement. I promise you 100% of the time, if you take some kid in the gym who weighs 150 pounds or 160, whatever, depends on his height, and you put him on a strength training program and you get him to from where he can barely do a single dead hang chin up with his body weight to where when he puts on 15 pounds, that he can now do 5 dead hang chin ups with a 25 pound or 35 pound plate. You take him from overhead pressing an empty bar for 95 to being able to do 135 for 5 reps. You take him from having a 120 pound bench press to having a 205 for 5. I promise you that his arm measurement will have gone up. I promise you that both his biceps and his triceps will have grown. Now, does that mean he can't throw in some curls and tricep extensions? No, it doesn't mean that at all. Not saying that. But his arms will grow from that stuff. Furthermore, his body composition will probably improve. If he doesn't eat too terrible, eats a pretty good, balanced, healthy diet, maybe does a little cardio, his body composition very well might improve over that 10 to 15 pounds weight gain. He might actually lose fat. So let me ask you the question. This kid's put on 15 solid pounds of muscle. All those lifts have gone up. Is he going to be more aesthetic? Is he going to have a better body composition? Of course he is. He's probably going to have a better body composition than if he had come in and done tons of just fluff work, fluff and pump, instead of focusing on strength. And the kid who focuses on the fluff and pump for a couple years and doesn't get any of the results they're wanting, they automatically go over to gear. That's why we see it, because they're not getting the results they want. So you have that. What about other stuff? How about a marathon runner? Well, if you take a marathon runner who we all understand when they run, every single time that they run, every step they take is a percentage of their maximum exertion, right? It's a percentage. It'll probably be less than 1%, but it is a number. And you take that person from, I don't know, that marathon runner who can squat 120 pounds for 5 reps, 6 reps. You get him to where he can squat 225 or 275 for a few reps. You've doubled his strength. Therefore, you've reduced the amount of perceived effort or percentage of his maximum effort with every step he takes. Now, anyone who thinks that this isn't true, why do all the top world-class level endurance athletes all do strength training? Because their coaches who want them to win know that this carries over. We know that the strength training improves their work capacity. Now, obviously, they have to specialize. They have to do a ton of endurance work too. But they go to the gym to get stronger, because if they get stronger, it will carry over to this better. All right, what about the football player, rugby player who needs to hit somebody on the field? They need to be powerful and explosive, and they need to be able to hit somebody like a freight train. You think taking them from a 300-pound squat to a 500-pound squat is going to help them do that better? You think you take one of these kids who can only push press 150 pounds, you get into where he can push press 300 pounds? So you now take one of these guys and you get into where he can push press 300 pounds, he can squat 500 pounds. How much harder do you think that guy's going to be able to hit you on a playing field? Probably about twice as hard as he could before. He is capable of producing more force. He is capable of hitting you harder on the field. And because his body is capable of handling loads, his core is stronger, everything else from this, when he gets hit, it's not going to knock his wind out as bad. When he gets hit and driven to the ground, he's less likely to get hurt. So even these guys, you're coming to the gym to get stronger. What about people who are doing this saying, well, I want to stave off osteoporosis and other stuff? Well, how do you stave off osteoporosis? Resistance training. How do you improve bone density? You have to increase load. In other words, getting stronger in the gym for your 60-year-old grandmother who you talk into going to the gym and trying a little bit of barbell squatting or something so that she doesn't have to have her hip replaced, so that she doesn't lose extra inches off her back. We get bone density from resistance training, and the only way bone density increases is if you continue to add tension and work. That requires strength training. In other words, if your grandma goes from only being able to squat her body weight holding onto the back of a chair to being able to squat that 45-pound Olympic bar for reps, isn't that going to give her better bone density? In other words, when she goes from being able to no longer hold the chair to just her body weight to then getting strong enough to put that 45-pound bar on her shoulders, didn't she strength train? Did that increase her bone density? Yes. What about all these other health markers? What do we know about things like insulin sensitivity? There are structural changes to the muscle that occur for people who strength train, who get stronger, that improves insulin sensitivity. It changes receptor sites on the muscle in a way that positively influences this. And so if your goal is to improve insulin sensitivity to, again, prevent cardiovascular disease, to stave off type 2 diabetes, strength training is the key to this. And that's what people need to understand, is that every single goal you have, getting stronger, will help you towards all those physical goals. It should be the primary focus of your training, even if strength was not your end goal. Same thing, let's look at the studies on leg strength. What do we find? That people who have the highest leg strength in their 60s have the best memory and best cognition. In other words, people who have stronger legs, again, strength training with squats, stronger, that's been noted, the word stronger was found in the scientific literature. People who had leg strength was correlated to improved memory and improved cognition. So in other words, degeneration of the mind is staved off by strength training. So when we start looking at all these different independent goals that people have, it starts to become very, very clear that strength training, and remember, strength training, the goal of strength training is to be able to correctly lift a heavier and heavier weight over time. And that's oftentimes accomplished by adding reps with the same weight, by doing more volume with the same weight in the long term. That working towards that goal and having the ability to add weight to the bar and make the muscles work harder seems to be the primary key of every single physical goal, and the reason you would go into the gym. And that applies even to the guys who are just pursuing body composition, because I can assure you progressive overload and workload has been found repeatedly. It's been observed for thousands of years, but it's been noted in studies to be the primary driver of hypertrophy. All right, is the primary driver. The ability to produce more workload. Well, getting stronger, strength training is what produces the ability to generate the most workload. So in other words, if you get stronger on any exercise, that exercise is more likely to induce more muscle growth over time for you. This isn't rocket science. In the bodybuilding world, and a lot of this functional training and everything else that people come up with have really pushed all of these things in the wrong direction. They've pushed them in the opposite direction from where we need to be going. Getting stronger is probably the most important thing you can do for any physical fitness related goal. It should be the basis of your training. No matter what your actual goals are, getting stronger will improve you at them. Alright guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.